I'm going to start by working with the hands, and on days even when you don't feel particularly well, you might be able to work by dropping the wrists, hands at the wrists, and stretching up. Breathing out to drop the hands down at the wrists, breathing in to stretch up. And it doesn't matter if one of the hands is different from the other. You may have very different range of movement between the two hands, and this is very often due to things that have happened over your life. You might breathe in as you raise the fingers, breathe out as you lower the fingers, and it's up to you as to what kind of speed that you work at. I could be working faster than you want or slower than you want. You might want to change to make circles with the hands at the wrists. And you can probably feel that even though you're only working with your hands at the wrists, there's a lot of other muscles working in your arms. And this works with keeping all the 9 bones in the wrists lubricated and working. And then maybe change and move in the opposite direction. Even if one hand has a lot greater mobility than the other, that's fine. Both of them are doing the best they can. You might work with the exhale across the bottom, inhale across the top. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a huge difference which way it is. It's just maybe half of the breath one way and then the other way. And from here we'll stretch out the arms at shoulder height. Turn and make a movement like pushing. Turn, take the fingers to the shoulders and draw the elbows upwards. Releasing down from the shoulders, stretching the arms out. Turn the hands, movement like pushing and turning. Fingers to the shoulders, draw the elbows upwards. And with this exercise, you have 2 for the price of 1. Because you might find that if you take the elbows out to the side, that it's quite a different stretch. If you let the elbows open to the side, it's a very different stretch. Drawing them back to center, stretching out the arms, turn the hands, push, turn, fingers to the shoulders, drawing the elbows up, releasing down. And if one arm is working very differently from the other, that's absolutely fine. Both arms are working to the best of their ability. Maybe the elbows can separate out, stretching up through your back. And with all of these exercises, you only do the number of repetitions that's right for you. If you find that enough is enough, then that's absolutely the case. It's whatever is right for you is what you do. And then we'll rest the arms down. So that's one exercise. I call it carrying a tray. I remind myself of it as you're carrying a tray. Another exercise that works with the range of movement in the shoulder. You're making circles with an elbow at the shoulder as well as you can in one direction. One client imagines she's painting different coloured circles going through the colours of the rainbow. So she'll do 7 colours maybe in one direction, and then she'll pause and change and go in the other direction. And again here, if you want to work with the breath, you're breathing in across the top, breathing out across the bottom, and making as big a circle as your elbow will let you do. And doing a similar number in the other direction. It's quite usual to find that one direction is harder to work with than the other. And after you've worked with that shoulder as best you can, if you have the use of the other shoulder working with it, you'll often find that you work with your better arm first and in a direction that's more comfortable before the direction that's less comfortable. But insofar as you're able to work with both arms, even if the range of movement is very small, if it's a very small circle, and if it's hardly more than working in your imagination, you do what you're able to do, because even when you are working in your imagination, you're still maintaining the muscles and maybe even some bone density too. Go in one direction, and have we gone in the other direction? Going in the other direction as well. And what we're warming up towards is to go picking blackberries. This is an image I use for the fact that you're stretching up as high as you can on one side, and then on the other side stretching up as high as you can. And if you've ever gone picking blackberries, you know that the best blackberries are up out of reach. So maybe your body isn't able to stretch up as high as mine is today, but insofar as your body is able to stretch up on one side, even if it's a small stretch or even smaller still, you're working the muscles and imagining that you're stretching up as high as you're able to do so. And maybe if you have picked blackberries, you're remembering the days when you did that. And you're bringing in the movement of picking the berry. So you have a little hand movement and you can feel the muscles down through the side working as well. And again, same as before, you pick as many as is right for you on one side and then the other. The stretch up is as high as is right for you. You're getting a slight movement in the spine as well and a stretch at the waist. And after we've gone picking blackberries and picked as many as is appropriate for you today, we've closed the gates and opening the gates back, closing the gates, drawing the elbows towards each other, opening the gates, drawing them back. And with this exercise, it may feel like as though it's all to do with the elbows. It's all to do with what's happening between the shoulders. You're drawing the elbows together, separates the shoulder blades away. Opening the elbows back draws them together. And the elbows are about in height with the shoulders. The fists are in front of the face. And it's a really, really good exercise for easing out stiffness and pain from driving or sitting or working at a computer. It's good for desk yoga as well, all of these are. After you've done as many repetitions as is right for you today, we'll let the arms rest down and do some shoulder shrugs, rolling the shoulders forward and up and back and down. Rolling the shoulders forward and up and back and down. And here again you might want to work with the breath, forward and up, breathing in, back and down, breathing out. And you might find that it's quite noisy when you're working with the shoulders. And I think that's partly because you have ears beside them. If you had ears by some of the other joints, they might be noisy too. And then going in the other direction. And again, you may find that the second direction is a little bit harder than the first direction. And there was a character, a cartoon character, when I was growing up in a magazine, a comic called The Dandy. So this character in The Dandy, he would thump people on the head and then they would look like this. Desperate Dan shoulder shrugs, I call them. And Desperate Dan would give people a thump on the head, very violent man. And then they'd look like this with their shoulders up around their ears and their heads shoved down between the shoulders. And it's a really good shoulder shrug. Again, when you're driving, when you're sitting at a computer, any of that kind of time, or when you're sitting for a long time, the shoulder shrugs are really good. So that's a basic group of seated shoulder exercises.